Section 1. The Day of Striking, an introduction to Surat Al-Qari'ah. Surat Al-Qari'ah, meaning the striking calamity, is the 101st chapter of the Holy Quran. This powerful surah, consisting of just 11 verses, paints a vivid picture of the Day of Judgment. Its placement in the Quran, among the shorter surahs revealed in Mecca, suggests a time when the early Muslims faced intense persecution and needed reminders of the hereafter. Surat Al-Qari'ah is a powerful reminder for all humankind. It emphasizes the temporary nature of this worldly life and the certainty of the Day of Judgment. The surah's message transcends time and place, urging believers and non-believers alike to reflect on their actions and prepare for the ultimate reckoning. The surah derives its name from the first verse, which vividly describes the Day of Judgment as a catastrophic event. The striking calamity refers to the Day of Judgment, a day of immense upheaval and transformation. This surah serves as a stark reminder of the hereafter, urging us to live our lives with purpose and accountability. The Day of Judgment is not a myth or a fable, it is an inevitable reality. Section 2. The context of revelation, a time of uncertainty. While precise details about the exact circumstances surrounding the revelation of Surat Al-Qari'ah are not explicitly mentioned in Hadith, its placement within the Quran offers valuable insights. The surah likely dates back to the early Meccan period, a time of intense hardship for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers. During this time, the nascent Muslim community faced ridicule, persecution, and even physical threats. The disbelievers of Mecca scoffed at the idea of resurrection and judgment, finding solace in their worldly possessions and status. It is within this context that Surat Al-Qari'ah emerges as a powerful reminder of the hereafter. The surah's vivid descriptions of the Day of Judgment would have served as a source of comfort and reassurance for the persecuted Muslims, reminding them that this worldly life is fleeting and that true justice will be served in the next. Furthermore, the surah's emphasis on the consequences of one's actions would have resonated deeply with both believers and non-believers. It served as a call to accountability, urging all to reflect on their deeds and turn towards righteousness. Section 3, A Day of Chaos, unveiling the opening verses. The surah begins with a series of rhetorical questions, each more powerful than the last. What is the striking calamity, and what will make you know what the striking calamity is? Quran 101, verses 1 to 2. These questions are not meant to be answered literally. Instead, they serve to grab the listener's attention and evoke a sense of awe and wonder. The imagery used in these opening verses is both terrifying and captivating. The Day of Judgment is depicted as a day like no other, a day when the very fabric of the universe will be shaken to its core, mountains will crumble, the oceans will boil, and the heavens will be torn apart. On that day, people will be like scattered moths, and the mountains will be like carded wool. Quran 101 verses 4 to 5. This powerful imagery highlights the chaos and confusion of that day. People will be running around in terror, their worldly possessions and status rendered meaningless. The opening verses of Surat Al-Qari'ah serve as a stark reminder of the transient nature of this worldly life. They jolt us out of our complacency and force us to confront the reality of our mortality. The Day of Judgment is not a distant event to be ignored, it is an impending reality that demands our attention. Section 4, The Scales of Justice, weighing actions on the Day of Reckoning. After setting the stage with its powerful depiction of the Day of Judgment, Surat Al-Qari'ah shifts its focus to the fate of individuals on that day. The surah emphasizes that every action, no matter how small, will be weighed on the scales of divine justice. Then, as for one whose scales are heavy with good deeds, he will be in a pleasant life. But as for one whose scales are light, then his abode will be the abyss. Quran 101, verses 6 to 9. These verses highlight the importance of righteous actions in determining our ultimate destination. Those who live their lives according to God's will, engaging in acts of kindness, charity, and worship, will find their scales heavy with good deeds. They will be rewarded with eternal bliss in paradise. On the other hand, those who neglected their spiritual duties and lived in transgression will find their scales light. Their final abode will be the hellfire, a place of eternal punishment. This emphasis on accountability serves as a powerful motivator for believers. It encourages us to constantly strive for righteousness, knowing that our actions in this life have eternal consequences. The scales of justice remind us that we are ultimately responsible for our choices, and that true justice will be served on the day of judgment. Section 5. The impending reality. The surah's focus on the day of judgment. The central theme that resonates throughout Surat Al-Qari'ah is the undeniable reality of the Day of Judgment. This is not presented as a mythical tale or a philosophical concept, but as an impending event that will inevitably come to pass. The surah's vivid descriptions and evocative imagery serve to awaken a sense of urgency in the hearts of the listeners. The emphasis on the Day of Judgment is not meant to instill fear or despair, but rather to awaken a sense of accountability and purpose in our lives. When we internalize the reality of that day, our priorities shift and we begin to focus on what truly matters, living a life of righteousness and seeking the pleasure of our Creator. The surah's message is universal, transcending time and place. It serves as a reminder for people of all backgrounds that this worldly life is temporary, and our actions in this life have eternal consequences. The Day of Judgment is not a matter of belief, but a matter of certainty. By consistently reminding ourselves of this impending reality, we can strive to live our lives with greater purpose, making choices that will lead us to eternal bliss in the hereafter. The surah's message is a call to action, urging us to awaken from our spiritual slumber and prepare for the ultimate accountability. Section 6. The Parable of the Hypocrites, a lesson in sincerity. Surah Al-Qari'ah touches upon the fate of hypocrites, those who outwardly profess belief but whose hearts remain distant from God. The surah describes their state on the Day of Judgment with a striking parable. So he will be in a pleasant life, in an elevated garden, its fruit to be picked, hanging near. Quran 69:19-23. This parable highlights the importance of sincerity in our faith. True belief is not merely a matter of outward pronouncements, but a matter of the heart. The hypocrites, despite their outward displays of piety, will be exposed on the Day of Judgment. The parable serves as a powerful reminder for all believers to examine their own hearts. Are our actions driven by a genuine desire to please God, or are we more concerned with outward appearances? The Day of Judgment will be a day of truth and accountability where hypocrisy will be of no avail. By reflecting on this parable, we can strive to cultivate sincerity in our worship and actions. Section 7. The Blessings of Recitation, Finding Solace and Guidance. The recitation of Surah Al-Qari'ah, like all surahs of the Quran, carries immense blessings and virtues for the believer. Engaging with the words of God, reflecting on their meanings, and internalizing their message brings us closer to our Creator and nourishes our souls. Specifically, reciting Surah Al-Qari'ah serves as a powerful reminder of the hereafter and our accountability before God. It helps us keep our priorities in check, reminding us that this worldly life is temporary and that our ultimate goal should be to attain the pleasure of our Creator. The surah's vivid descriptions of the Day of Judgment can also serve as a source of solace and comfort for those facing trials and tribulations in this life. When we remember that this world is fleeting and that true justice will be served in the hereafter, our burdens feel lighter, and we find the strength to persevere. Furthermore, the surah's emphasis on righteous actions encourages us to live lives of purpose and meaning. Knowing that our deeds will be weighed on the scales of justice motivates us to engage in acts of kindness, charity, and worship, seeking to accumulate good deeds for the hereafter. Section 8. A timeless reminder, preparing for the inevitable. In conclusion, Surat Al-Qari'ah stands as a timeless reminder of the Day of Judgment, an inevitable reality that awaits us all. Its powerful imagery and evocative language shake us out of our complacency and force us to confront the transient nature of this worldly life. The surah's message is universal, resonating with people of all backgrounds. It reminds us that we will be held accountable for our actions and that true justice will be served on that day. Those who lived their lives according to God's will be rewarded with eternal bliss, while those who chose transgression will face eternal punishment. However, the surah's message is not meant to instill fear or despair. Rather, it serves as a call to action, urging us to live lives of purpose and meaning. By remembering the Day of Judgment, we can prioritize righteousness, seeking to accumulate good deeds and draw closer to our Creator. Let us take the lessons of Surah Al-Qari'ah to heart and strive to live our lives in preparation for the inevitable. May we be among those whose scales are heavy with good deeds on that day, and may we attain the eternal bliss of paradise.